Welcome to Jason's Jewels. I'm your host, Jason Alexander, and today I have got a great show lined up for you today. First off, we will be talking NASCAR, and I'm talking Denny Hamlin, I'm talking Bubba Wallace, and I'm talking about how they let Chase Elliott slide on into victory lane. We'll be talking college football, a little bit of Florida State, Virginia, a little bit of Oregon, Penn State, a little bit of LSU, Mississippi, a little bit of Alabama, Georgia. Going to talk some college football. And then, of course, we're going to end it all speaking on the NFL. And, of course, as you can see, we're going to be talking about my dude, Lamar Jackson. Did Lamar Jackson quit? Did he quit on the team? We will talk about that. But first, we are going to go straight into NASCAR, 0 to 100, real quick. And well, folks, I told y'all, if you tuned into the show last week, I told y'all that Bubba Wallace, if he could have a good Saturday, he did, and have a high quality car, he did, that he would be in contention to win this race. He was. Now, if only I knew that his owner, Denny Hamlin, was going to be the reason that he lost this race, then I might have said a few different things instead. But I came front. My guy, Bubba Wallace, came in 5th place at Kansas this weekend after leading the race in overtime and on the final lap. And if you did not get to see the final laps of this race, I'm telling you, you missed out. I tried to explain to everyone last week that these 1.5 mile tracks provide the best racing that NASCAR can give us with this bullshit ass car that they got these drivers driving in, the next gen car. I mean, the car is shit. But it's like I told y'all, on the 1.5 mile tracks, they will always give good races. That's what they do. And Kansas did not disappoint. In fact, Kansas might be the best track in NASCAR. Kansas, Atlanta's had some good races. Those might be two of the best tracks. And what do those tracks have in common? 1.5 mile tracks, people. I'm telling you, in the next gen car, 1.5 mile tracks are the bread and butter of this car. But I digress. So, as we get to the final lap of this race, Bubba Wallace is leading the race, and his car owner, Denny Hamlin, is in 2nd place, right behind him, creeping up for the lead, folks. And what Denny Hamlin did, and again, I got to remind you, Denny Hamlin is the owner of the Bubba Wallace 23 car. He also owns Tyler Reddick's 45 car, and he also owns Riley Herbst in the 35 car. He is part owner with Michael Jordan of those cars. So when Denny Hamlin was in 2nd place, he was in 2nd place to his very own driver that he pays to drive that car. And I think it's very important that people hang on to that fact while we're having this discussion. So back to the last lap. We got his car owner and boss, Denny Hamlin, in 2nd place, and he used his car to move Bubba up the track. Bubba got into the wall a little bit. He regained his composure and was able to finish in 5th. Denny, who probably had the best car on the track all day long, if I'm going to be for real, he probably did have the best car on the track. And he probably could have made a cleaner pass of Bubba, had he done things a little bit differently. But he chose to push Bubba up the track because, as Denny Hamlin said in his own words, he is a driver first on Sundays. He used his car as a driver to push Bubba up the track into the wall a little bit, caused both of them to have to lift off the gas a little bit so they wouldn't wreck, and so they wouldn't wreck into the wall. While they lifted off the gas, Chase Elliott snuck in to the bottom, door slammed Denny Hamlin, and finished the race in 1st place. So Chase Elliott won Kansas, all because Denny Hamlin couldn't refrain from driving clean against his car. And as a Bubba Wallace fan, I mean, I've made it clear I'm a Bubba Wallace fan. But let me be clear on this. I am not mad at anything that Denny Hamlin did to try to win that race. This is the playoffs, people. It's the playoffs. And no matter how much I love Bubba, no matter how pissed off I was at Denny Hamlin on Sunday, that's shit that leaves really quickly because these guys are going for the win. Now, in the same breath, if Denny Hamlin would have done things a little bit better, he might have won that race, or Bubba might have won that race. Either way it goes, him or Bubba winning that race is a better scenario than Chase Elliott winning that race. You know, Denny Hamlin cost himself, if Bubba wins that race, Denny Hamlin loses 14 points currently from where he's at, but he's still sitting in the standings high enough to where he's most likely going to advance to the next round. Bubba, on the other hand, needed to win that race in order to have a good chance to advance. Now, Bubba has to go to a road course to see if he can win a race on a road course, which is probably not going to happen, in order to advance to the next round. Either way it goes, Bubba has to do really good at the Roval to have a chance to advance. But the point I'm trying to make is that Denny could have put the car that he owns in the next round of the playoffs without hurting his position. But because he was going for the win, which I'm not mad at it. He went for the win and cost them both a chance to win that race and might be costing one of his drivers the opportunity to move on to the next round of the playoffs. Tip of the hat to Chase Elliott for being in the right place at the right time. When they had the restart, Chase Elliott was in 7th or 8th position. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but he was in 7th or 8th position, but he was the first car on the track with 4 fresh tires. Everyone else only had 2 fresh tires. Chase had 4. So he was at an advantage already coming off the top. And what he did those last couple of laps to put himself in a position to win is something that has been, I hate to say, swept over because of what happened with Denny and Bubba, but more folks should be talking about what Chase Elliott did to win that race, because those are the things you have to do in NASCAR, is put yourself in the position to be able to win these races in case something happens, because you never know what's going to happen when it comes to NASCAR. And this Sunday in NASCAR, we had the car owner who put his own car into the wall in an effort to win, cost them both a chance to win. Chase Elliott wins the race. Chase Elliott moves on to the next round of the playoffs. He's locked in. Him and Ryan Blaney are locked into the playoffs. And so what that does is, like I said, it puts pressure on the bottom 4. And the bottom 4, they still remain the same as last week. The orders changed a little bit, but the bottom 4 remain the same. And that's Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, and Austin Cindric in that order. And now, if any of these guys want to advance, I'm telling you, they're probably going to have to win that race next week in Charlotte at the Roval. And if I'm being honest, I don't see that happening. And why do I not see that happening? Because Shane Van Gisbergen is the road course master. Nobody's going to beat this man on the track. I really, truly believe that SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, is going to win this race in dominating fashion, the same way he's been doing all year long on all the road course races. So, with that being said, in order for Bubba to advance, he's going to have to pretty much follow SVG around the track. He's going to have to come in second place, and he's going to have to pray that the Joey Logano's of the world and some of them other dudes down there at the bottom of the, not in the bottom 4, but in the last 4 of the 8, do have some car troubles or something. You know, it's pretty much out of Bubba's hands. I hate to say it is. I hate to say it's out of his hands, but them dudes in the bottom 4, including Bubba, they have to win. And like I said, I just don't see it happening. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It's going to be interesting to see how the math on Sunday after the race, depending on where everybody finishes. Because, again, this will be a high, intense race. But as intense as it's going to get, I just don't see any of them dudes beating SVG. I'm telling you, SVG has got it locked on the road courses. I'm a betting man, so I promise you, my money's going to be on SVG this weekend to win. I can promise you that. And my money's also going to be on Bubba to finish in the top 10, because one thing Bubba Wallace has been doing is finishing better on the road courses. And with them needing this race and needing the best finishing position that they can get, hey, I like Bubba for a top 10. I'll probably sprinkle the top 5 and the top 3 as well, because I'm telling you, my man is coming, and he can't afford not to anymore. So we'll see what happens this Sunday when SVG lays out the domination on the track for everyone to see. We'll see where the chips fall with everyone else. But anyway, that's all I got for NASCAR for now. If you want to hit me up in the comments or whatever, if you want to talk about Denny and Bubba and what went down, or if you want to talk about Chase Elliott, by all means, holler at your boy, because I loved every second of this race, even though my boy Bubba was unable to seal the deal and get the win. This race was a lot of fun all the way through, I thought myself, and I was glad to see that when Jeff Gluck ran his poll on Twitter, that 91% of the people had said, yes, this was a good race. So I'm not alone in saying this was a good race. I love the Kansas race. I love the Atlanta race. Looking forward to the road course race this weekend, only because I like watching SVG dominate. But anyways, That's what I'm looking forward to when it comes to NASCAR. Again, hit me up in the comments if you want to discuss anything, as I will join you. I promise you that. Now, on to college football. And man, that weekend of college football, this past weekend, did not disappoint. I tried to tell folks it was going to be a great weekend of college football, and I was not wrong. First off the bat, we had Florida State versus Virginia on Friday night. And I can't front, folks. Friday night college football is really weird to me. It's really weird. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. I love football. I don't love it that much. Not enough to where I want to see it on Friday nights. Friday nights, we got off work. There's places to go, people to see, places to be. I don't want to watch college football on Friday night. Save that shit for Saturdays, Thursdays, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays when y'all get your little Mac thing going on later on. But keep it off Fridays. I mean, at the very least, you got high school football on Fridays. Let them boys play and have their moment and have their time in the sun. Quit taking up every single day. But anyways, Florida State, Virginia. Florida State needed this game in order to stay in the hunt for the ACC division that they're in. And well, one thing we learned about Florida State is that they cannot stop the run. Virginia ran the ball down Florida State's throat. And I feel like anybody who watched that game with me on Friday night saw that Florida State couldn't stop the run, and they lost 46-38 in overtime. Now, I felt like Florida State was playing catch up all night, as they seemed to be behind all night. They got behind 14-0 early off in the game, but Virginia ended up running for 211 yards as a team. They had 4 touchdowns on the ground as well. It knocked off a little bit of the luster of the upcoming Florida State-Miami matchup. But if Florida State can't find a way to stop the run, then they very well could face the very same outcome against Miami. Because one thing we know about Miami is they're going to run the ball. And if you can't stop the run, I don't know how you're going to beat Miami. But at least it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's a home game for Florida State. I'm going off memory here, so please forgive me. But if it is a home game for Florida State, and if it is that home game for Florida State, they will at least have the home crowd going for them, home field advantage. Maybe that'll help them out some. Maybe it'll fire them up a little bit more. But on the other hand, I do got to say that Florida State's offense did answer the call all game long because, again, like I said, they were playing from behind early on in the game. They couldn't stop the run, but when they needed to score, they were able to drive down the field and put points up on the board. So if there's one thing they got going for them, it's that they have a good offense with Tommy Castellanos at quarterback, who, had they won that game, would probably be a Heisman hopeful. I think if he wants to remain a Heisman hopeful, they're going to have to win this game against Miami. If they want to remain in the hunt for the playoffs, they're going to have to win this game against Miami, because I'm telling you, if they can't win this game against Miami, the schedule's not going to get any easier. Folks are going to be licking their chops to face Florida State, and when they see that they can't stop the run, they'll be licking their chops to run the ball as much as they can against them. But Florida State, Virginia wins 4-6, 38 in overtime. Virginia is now in the driver's seat to win that division, and we shall see what happens going forward in the ACC. Next up, Alabama at Georgia. And this game did not go how I expected it to go at all. And it highlights how so many myths in college football are exactly that. Miss. You understand what I'm saying? Home teams in the SEC lose. And speaking of losing, Kirby Smart entered this game 1-6 against Alabama all time. And he left out of this game 1-7 against Alabama all time. You know, had I known that beforehand, I would have never picked Georgia to win this game. I promise you that. Because one thing that is for sure is that patterns in football always seem to be true. And if Kirby Smart can't beat Alabama without Nick Saban, then he's probably never going to beat Alabama without Nick Saban. And I can understand when Nick Saban was there and you couldn't beat Alabama, because it's Nick Saban. You know what I'm saying? Nick Saban had Alabama up here, every single year. And it was always Alabama and Georgia. And truthfully, I didn't realize Kirby Smart was his ass against Alabama. I truly did not know this. And maybe I should have consulted with some Georgia fans or something before this game, or maybe even some Alabama fans who could have hooked me up with that info. Because Kirby Smart not being able to beat Alabama is a problem. It's a problem, folks. It's kind of like Ryan Day not being able to beat Michigan. It's a problem. You can be as good as you want to, but if you can't beat the top tier teams in your conference, it don't matter how good you are. Don't matter if you won a national championship. Don't matter what you got going on. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to go through that team to win. And if you can't beat that team, you ain't going to win. So Anyways, back to the ball game. Just disgusting. But anyway, forget the fact that Kirby can't beat Alabama. How do you lose at home when you are the number 5 team in the nation? How does that happen? It tells me your team has got a lot of work to do. And it also tells me that maybe the ACC is not as mighty as folks say it is, because we watched Florida State dog walk Alabama. And I'm telling you right now, if Alabama can't beat Florida State, but Alabama can go to Georgia and beat Georgia, and Florida State can't go to Virginia and beat Virginia, I'm just telling you, folks, ACC might not be as powerful as they make it out to be. You know, they might have a whole lot of parity going on. I guess, you know, the NIL and transfer portal might be catching up to them. But to me, SEC just don't feel as dominant as it used to be. And this Alabama-Georgia game, in my opinion, is a key to that thought process of mine. But anyway, Alabama was in control of this game from start to finish as they jumped out to a 14-0 lead in the first half, and they never truly looked back. The story of this game was third down conversions and turnovers. Alabama didn't have a single turnover. Georgia only had one. Alabama was 13-19 on third downs. Georgia was 2 of 8. So if you want to look at why Georgia couldn't win this game, because the final score was 24-21, Alabama. Don't get it twisted. It wasn't a big blowout or anything like that. It didn't feel as close as it was, but Georgia had opportunities to win this game. They had opportunities to stay in this game. They had opportunities to take over this game. But if you can't convert on third down, and if you can't take care of the ball, even if it's just one turnover, you're probably going to lose if the other team is able to convert on third down and protect the ball. So, you know, maybe Georgia and Alabama, maybe we'll get that matchup in the ACC championship game. Maybe we won't. Maybe it'll be Vanderbilt. Maybe it'll be somebody else. Who knows? You know, Texas is still out there lurking around, even though Arch Manning ain't as good as we thought he was going to be. They're still lurking. So who knows what might happen in the mighty, mighty SEC. But for now, Alabama beat Georgia at Georgia 24-21. Parity in the SEC is taking over. And on we move to Oregon and Penn State. Now, because I was watching Alabama and Georgia and focused on that game, I didn't get to watch Oregon and Penn State as much as I wanted to. I did see a little bit of the end of the game, and I watched Penn State throw that interception at the end of the game to lose it. But either way it goes, another insane game on the slate as Oregon arrived at Penn State as the number 6 team in the nation and are leaving as likely number 2. Matter of fact, let me go and look that up real quick, because that's one thing that I didn't get a chance to do before I started to come on the show. And let's look and see what the rankings look like across the league in the NCAA football. So, current top 25 rankings. Yes, Oregon is now your number 2 team in the nation. Now, let me be clear. Ohio State is number 1. And I'm thinking we'll probably get that Ohio State-Oregon matchup at some point since they're all Big Ten teams now. But Penn State is behind the 8 ball. Penn State dropped to number 7. Is that Oklahoma? Oklahoma's number 5? That's what we're doing? Okay. Alabama is now number 10. Florida State dropped to 18. UVA entered the polls at 24. What else we got going on? Georgia is now number 12. Texas Tech, number 11. Hey, don't forget what I told you about Texas Tech. Keep an eye on Texas Tech. Indiana, okay. Indiana's number 8. Ole Miss moved up to number 4 after defeating LSU. And they defeated LSU 24-19, and yet another game with a close score that didn't feel too close. It never felt like LSU had a chance in that game. It felt like Ole Miss was in control from start to finish. They seemed to be the better team. They looked like the better team, and for all that shit Lane Kiffin talked, the under hit. The over did not hit. So while Lane Kiffin talked all that shit about the over hitting, take the over, take the over. We know now when Lane Kiffin says that shit, take the under. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, other good games and matchups from this weekend included USC and Illinois. Now, that was a fun game to watch. That was a game that got my Saturday started off. And let's see. Illinois won on a last-second field goal after USC took the lead at 32-31 with 1:55 left in the game. Illinois drove straight down the field and won the game on a 41-yard field goal at expiration. And again, that was a fun game to watch. 32-31, 34-32 was the final score. Illinois winning that game. Now, I had USC winning that game. I can't believe they lost that game. But much like the Florida State game, USC couldn't get Illinois off the field on third down. Illinois ran the ball down their throats. The offense moved at will against USC. USC's offense answered the call every time, just like Florida State did, but they just didn't have enough to get over the hump at the end of the game. Honestly, I think they scored a little bit too early, but when your offense is on clicking like that, you can't do nothing but stop. But 155 with that defense back on the field, we all saw what was coming. We all knew what was coming. Anybody who was watching that game could see what was coming. And that's exactly what happened. Illinois drove down the field, got the field goals, time expired, ball game. Now, USC, they dropped out the top 25, and Illinois is now number 22. So, it's just the way it's going to be. And shout out to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has moved up to number 16. They were 18 last week. Undefeated Vanderbilt is now number 16. So, myself, I like to see Vanderbilt in the playoffs. So we'll see if they got enough to get there at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but again, shout out to Vanderbilt. We see you. Vanderbilt, Indiana, all these non-traditional schools, we see you. We see you. But anyway, I believe that is all I got for college football for now. This weekend, the games aren't going to be as enticing, as exciting as they were last weekend. There's still some good games that'll be popping up this weekend. Let me take a look real quick before we move on and see what games we got on the schedule coming up this week in NCAA football. Shoot, let's see here. NCAA football. Miami at Florida State. So, yes, we do have that. Saturday night, 7:30, prime time football. That's what we want to see. Vanderbilt takes on Alabama between two ranked teams, and that game is at Alabama. So we are going to find out what Vanderbilt is made of really quickly. And other than that, most of the games involve ranked teams playing unranked teams. Mississippi State is at Texas A&M. Minnesota's at Ohio State. Texas Tech takes on undefeated Houston. Other than that, man, there's just not a whole lot going on. Texas and Florida. Now, I'm interested in that game. That game is going to be at Florida. And remember, Florida they got a good roster. They're a little bit better than I think. And Texas appears to be a little bit overrated. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game plays out. I think Florida if they can figure some things out, they might have a chance. So don't be surprised if you see Florida beat Texas. Yeah, other than that, man, there just ain't a whole lot going on in college football this weekend. So by all means, if you're a big college football nut, enjoy the weekend. But the rest of us, for the sake of this show, we are moving on to the NFL. And what happens when we move on to the NFL? That's right. You get an update of my fantasy football team that I know y'all don't care about. So this week, the Colin Kaepernickers have done it again. That's right. We won one more time. Now, we won 150.9 to 117.3 against Shark Bait. That's right, Shark Bait. That's who we defeated. You were Shark Bait to me, sucker. Now, if I can get this screen to close out, yes, let's see what happened this past week with the Colin Kaepernickers. Yep. So Justin Fields was my starting quarterback this week, and he gave me 36.4 points. Thank you, Justin, especially knowing that came in handy because Dak was on my bench, and Dak gave 47.3 points. And I was really worried that Justin wasn't going to come through for me, but Justin came through. He didn't give me 47 points like Dak did, but I'll take 36 in the W. Absolutely. Thank you, Justin Fields. Probably going to start you again this week as you face that Dallas defense that's almost as ass as Baltimore's defense. But anyway, John Robinson gave 33.4. Devon A-Chain gave 19.5. As folks in my league was trying to trade for Devon A-Chain, and they can't have him because you don't offer good trades. And if you don't offer good trades, then I'm not going to take it. But if you want Devon A-Chain, you better come with something good. I told you that in the group chat, and I'm telling you again on my show. If you want Devon A-Chain, you better come correct. But anyway, other than that, though, the rest of my lineup, Cam Scatterboo, you know what I'm saying? Or Scatterboo. I'm going to call him Scatterboo. I really don't give a shit what his last name is. From now on, he's Cam Scatterboo. And that boy gave me 16 points. Broncos D gave me 16 points. Everyone else did their job the best they could. Again, another victory to the Colin Kaepernickers. We are now 3-1 on the year. On to the next week. Let's get this money. But anyway, on to the NFL. And well, before I get into the games of the NFL this week, before I start talking about what all went down this past week in the NFL, there's one thing that I want to talk about, something that's been on my brain for the last 2 days, something that I was wondering if we were going to get a resolution to by the time I recorded the show. And we absolutely did get resolution to it, folks. And if you follow the NFL like I do, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know why I'm wearing this shirt is because Lamar Jackson, once again, took a L to the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. But most importantly, Lamar Jackson got hurt in that game, folks. He got hurt, and he left that game when the Ravens were down 30-13 with 17 seconds left in the third quarter. And when he left that game angry, walked off the field, slammed his helmet off his head, plopped himself down on the bench. And I can't front. The optics looked horrible. They looked horrible. But I knew there was something wrong with that dude. I knew there was something wrong with him. And I knew it was something more than him just quitting. Because Lamar Jackson don't quit. Lamar Jackson ain't a quitter. Lamar Jackson never been a quitter. Even though folks want you to believe that, even though folks do believe that, even in the year of our Lord 2025, there are people walking around today still believing that Lamar Jackson faked an injury on Sunday and left the game because Kansas City Chiefs was beating that ass so bad. And them folks couldn't be more wrong. Could not be more wrong. And how do I know? Because today they came out and said Lamar Jackson is unlikely to play in week 5 against the Houston Texans, and he might miss 2 to 3 weeks, which means that chances are we're not going to see Lamar Jackson again until October 26, 2025, when the Ravens take on the Bears. Probably not going to play against the Texans this weekend. Probably not going to play against the Rams week after that. And after that, it's week 7. They have a bye. So I don't expect to see Lamar Jackson back until at least October 26th. But that's not what I want to talk about. Well, part of what I'm talking about, but either way it goes, it's not what I want to talk about real quick because I'm going to go on a little rant because, it's part of it. But we'll pull these games up real quick so we can go through these games. Now, it's no secret that I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan and that I will openly and outwardly root for whatever team he is on. Let me rephrase that. I'm not rephrased. Let me say that to you again. It is no secret that I am a huge Lamar Jackson fan and will openly and outwardly root for him, whatever team he is on. So if he gets traded to the Tennessee Titans, promise I'm rooting for the Tennessee Titans the very next day. All because of Lamar Jackson. Today, that team is Baltimore. And well, Baltimore, they were my prediction to win the Super Bowl if they can stay healthy. And after running the gauntlet of their schedule in September, they have emerged broken, broke down, injured, mentally fatigued, discombobulated, poorly coached. And did I say injured and broken down? Yeah, I think I did. Injured and broken down. I could go through the list of defensive players that are hurt. I could talk about how poorly their offensive line has been so far. I can go through their misuse of Derrick Henry, which has been affected by poor offensive line play. But I can talk about how their defense is on pace to give up the most points in one season in the history of the NFL. That's how ass that defense is. They're on pace to break a record of giving up points in the NFL. So for now, I want to focus on Lamar Jackson and the belief throughout the NFL fandom that he wasn't hurt and took himself out the game on Sunday against Kansas City because he's a quitter. And my question is this: why y'all hate that man so much? Why y'all so quick to shit on this man and turn on him at the drop of a dime? Because I can't lie, that shit confuses me. I don't understand it. I don't understand what this man did to make people hate him so much. And maybe it's just because I appreciate what I'm watching more so than most folks. Because what we're seeing from Lamar Jackson, there's going to be folks that say, Jaden Daniels could be the next Lamar Jackson or so-and-so could be the next Lamar Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, there's never going to be another Lamar Jackson. We're not going to see another Lamar Jackson, period. So we should be appreciating what we're seeing from Lamar Jackson while he is on that football field. But again, I'll be the first to admit the optics were horrible on Sunday. Him walking off that field and throwing his helmet, plopping down on the bench, the body language was horrible. But that doesn't mean he wasn't hurt. It don't mean he wasn't injured. Just bad body language. Folks couldn't wait to see what the diagnosis would be before they jumped on him, started talking shit on him, before they jumped shit, started talking shit on him. Again, it's just weird to me. I don't get it. I don't get it. He left the game. Announcer said he's hurt. Seemed like he was hurt. Anybody who's watching the game could see he wasn't moving the way he's supposed to be moving. I mean, this man got caught from behind. Lamar Jackson don't get caught from behind unless there's something going on. And it wasn't quitting because he was running. But he don't get caught from behind. That should be sign number one to let you know this man's body is not working properly. And as a Lamar fan, I definitely want to see him defeat Kansas City and Buffalo in January, as well as the regular season. I want to see it in the regular season, but it don't matter in the regular season. It only matters in January. And of course, it don't matter because last year he beat Josh in the regular season, 35-10. But Josh still won MVP, and Josh still won in January. So that 35-10 victory in September or whenever it was last year against the Bills did not matter. Didn't matter at all. It only matters what you do in January. I understand why folks love to say he can't win big games, this, that, and the other. Sunday wasn't a big game. That wasn't a big game. It was a regular season game. Big games don't happen in the regular season. Big games happen in the playoffs. You understand what I'm saying? Big games happen in the regular season when home field might be on the line later on or whatnot. And if you want to call it a big game, I'm not going to argue with you. But to me, it wasn't a big game. And if we're going to be real and call a spade, if you listen to Jason's Jewel of the Week last week, I gave you Kansas City and 2.5 points to win the game. So even the biggest Lamar Jackson fans could have told you, hey, look, Kansas City's going to win this game on Sunday. Because I did tell you Kansas City's going to win this game on Sunday. And if you didn't pay attention, if you missed it, that's on you. Because I tried to tell you. I'm here for you, but you got to let me be here for you. You understand what I'm saying? But again, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Ravens into submission. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that at all. They beat the dog shit out of them. And I'm not going to sit here and act like Lamar Jackson played a great football game because he didn't. He had a bad interception. He had a bad fumble. Just after the first series, the Ravens were absolute dog shit. But one of the main reasons I said Kansas City was going to win this game is because Baltimore's defense is ass. And I said Baltimore's defense is so ass that Patrick Mahomes is going to look pretty damn good against that Baltimore defense. And all I got to say is, was I wrong? The man threw for 4 touchdowns. You understand what I'm saying? Threw for 4 touchdowns. He ain't thrown for 4 touchdowns since 2012. You understand what I'm saying? But he played Baltimore, threw for 4 touchdowns. So listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Baltimore defense is ass. And now that they have lost to all the players that they're losing on defense, Marlon Humphreys, Matabuki, they've lost Kyle Benoit, they lost Roquan Smith, Nate Wiggins is hurt and they don't know when he's coming back. If all these dudes were on defense, including Jair Alexander, who we ain't seen since week 1 and he's trying to get into football shape last I heard, if all these dudes were already playing defense and that defense was ass, how good is that defense going to be without these dudes? That's what we're going to find out. And that's what we're here to see. But the main point I'm trying to make about Lamar Jackson is, number 1, he did not quit. Number 2, he is hurt. Number 3, we should all be appreciating what we're seeing from this man when he graces the football field with his presence. And I get it. If you like other teams, I like other teams. I like other players. But one thing I'm not going to do, just because I'm a Lamar guy, don't mean I'm going to shit on Josh Allen. Now, when I criticize Josh Allen, it's going to be fair criticism. You know, when it comes to Josh Allen, he's not pushing the ball down the field, but he doesn't have to. Plus, he's winning, so it don't matter. When they criticize Jalen Hurts and say that he's a fullback playing quarterback, I get it, and I laugh with everybody else because it's crazy to think that a guy like Jalen Hurts can go 0 for 8 in the second half of a game and still win the game. But that's what winners do. Winners win, folks. Winners win. And I'm not saying Lamar Jackson ain't a winner, because one thing Lamar Jackson has done in the regular season is win more than anybody else. So, folks, we got to knock off the hate. I don't understand why everybody has the hate. We should be appreciating all these football players and everything they do on the field, because frankly, they're putting their lives on the line for us. They're putting their lives and their heads on the line, because half these dudes ain't gonna know who they are in 25 years. I ain't trying to be a dick or nothing, but the CTE shit is real. And that shit be fucking these dudes up. And one thing we all need to do is appreciate what we're watching when these dudes take the field. At the end of the day, that's all I got to say about that. Now, whew, on to the football games. And I don't want to keep y'all too long. I'll go through these games as quickly as I can and then break down my Jason's Jewel for Jewel of the Week in a separate video. But for now, Seahawks at Cardinals. Seahawks win this game Thursday Night Football 23-20. The Seahawks have now moved to 3-1 on the year. The Cardinals drop to 2-2. It's the AFC West, man, or NFC West, my bad. And they got a lot going on right now. Seahawks are in control. Mike McDonald's got that team playing good football right now. Can't front on that. Arizona, the funny part about this game was watching everybody trash Marvin Harrison Jr. all game long, only for this man to be the leading receiver for the game for the Cardinals, and he caught a touchdown. Pretty sure he had 6 receptions for 67 yards and a touchdown, something like that. Or maybe that's Tyreek Hill's stats from last night. But either way it goes, Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm rooting for you, kid. I want to see you shut up the critics. I want to see you be as good as your daddy was. And I'm rooting for you, kid. I'm rooting for you. Y'all took the L, but it's going to be all right. I think y'all will be all right as time goes on. I don't think you're going to be better than Seattle, but we shall see what goes on. Seattle needed this game and what could possibly be a potential tie-breaking game, because one thing we saw this week was the San Francisco 49ers losing at home to the Jacksonville Jaguars 26-21. And how that happened, I don't know, folks. I don't know. They ruined my survivor pick. That's all I got to say about that. I'm looking forward to getting my boy Jeff on here next week, and we're going to talk some 49ers football. And I'm definitely going to try to figure out what's going on in San Francisco land, because them dudes, much like Lamar, they got to be pretty banged up or something. I know Brock Purdy hasn't practiced this upcoming week. Ricky Pearsall ain't practiced this upcoming week. Juwan Jennings hadn't practiced for this upcoming week, and they play on Thursday. So chances are them three are not going to play this Thursday, and San Francisco 49ers might be in trouble sooner rather than later. And why might they be in trouble sooner rather than later? Because in the NFC West, you also have the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the Colts 27-20 as Matthew Stafford threw a 88-yard touchdown to Tutu Atwell to end the game. It happened close at the very end of the game. It's actually inexcusable. The Colts had just scored to tie the game up, and the Rams literally took one single play to take over that ball game again. And that's something that should not happen. The Colts have been playing good football. They took their first L, took it on the chin. Indiana Jones didn't play all that great in this game. But again, if you're going to let Matthew Stafford throw an 88-yard touchdown to Tutu Atwell at the very end of the game, you don't deserve to win the game, especially when they got Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua out there. Y'all so worried about Puka and Devontae that y'all just let Tutu, he pretty much iced the corner, made the corner slip, and he was gone. 88 yards to the house. So right now, I'm thinking the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks are in control of the NFC West. Granted, I believe they're all 3-1 right now. And I'm talking the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seattle Seahawks. Well, let me check. Let me check the 49ers record real quick. I'm thinking they're 3-1. They might be 2-2. No, they're 3-1. So you have a 3-way tie atop the NFC West with the Arizona Cardinals sitting in fourth place at 2-2. So keep an eye on the NFC West, as if San Francisco can manage to get healthy, they might be a problem. But again, I'm thinking the Rams are sitting in the driver's seat and Seattle's right there behind them. And the Rams will play the 49ers on Thursday night this upcoming week. So be on the lookout for that. Because again, I think San Francisco is going to sit some players, and I think the Rams are going to look to win that game rather easily. Now, let me go on and cover the Bills. The Bills played the Saints, and they defeated them 31-19. The Saints played a lot better than they had been, even though they took it on the chin. The Bills were a 16-point favorite. They failed to cover the spread. Once again, keep that in mind, people. The Bills are not covering double-digit spreads. So if you're a gambler like me, that's something that you need to keep track of, because the Bills might win, don't mean they're going to cover. And I really ain't got a whole lot to spend on this game. James Cook did his thing. Josh Allen combined for 3 touchdowns, ran one in. And again, the Bills took care of business like they should have. They just didn't cover the spread. But there's nothing wrong with winning 31-19 at home against one of the worst teams in the league. The Falcons at the Commanders. The Falcons just lost to the Carolina Panthers 30-0. And what did they do? They came out and took on the Commanders. Jaden Daniels didn't play, but the Falcons were able to pull out a 34-27 victory. against the Washington Commanders. Falcons now moved to 2-2 on the year. Bijan Robinson had a great game. Michael Penix played much better than he did against Carolina, and they said they owed their fans this game after the way that they played against Carolina Panthers. Bijan Robinson said something that was pretty interesting, that maybe they got a little cocky. They was a little bit too arrogant going into that Carolina game. So hopefully that's a lesson learned, because one thing about the Falcons, they are a pretty young team. You know, they got a couple veterans in Drake London and Kyle Pitts, but overall, this team is still young, and if they can put things together, they still will be a problem for the Buccaneers in the NFC South. And I expect it to be a two-man race between them, because I don't expect Carolina to be that good, and, well, we all see how the Saints are with Spencer Rattler. Atlanta, good win. Good to see y'all pull that one out. Now, we're going to stay in the NFC South as we move on to the Buccaneers and the Eagles. And the Eagles won that game 31-25. This is another game where the Eagles were in control of that game pretty much the whole game. I mentioned earlier, Jalen Hurts went 0-8 in the second half, passing the ball. But the Eagles still won, because winners win. That's what Jalen Hurts does. It don't matter what his stats look like. Don't matter what he looks like during the game. That man is going to lead the team to a win. And that's what he does. So for all the Jalen Hurts quarterback criticisms that y'all got, he's still winning. And it was cool when Tom Brady won ugly. It was cool when Ben Roethlisberger won ugly. It was cool when Peyton Manning won ugly. It was cool when Eli Manning won ugly. So you know what? It's going to be cool when Jalen Hurts wins ugly, period. So shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. Good win against the Buccaneers on the road. This week, the Eagles will face, they got the Broncos coming up. Schedule does not get any easier. But this game is at home for the Eagles, and it's a game that they should win, a game they should find a way to win, and a game that I expect them to win. Buccaneers, they will face Seattle Seahawks coming up this Sunday in Seattle. That's going to be a tough one for the Buccaneers. I expect the Seahawks to pull this one out. Now, who we got next? Texans and Titans. Texans win this game 26-0. The Titans are pretty bad. I was saying that the Saints, I've been saying the Saints were the worst team in the NFL. I'm going to retract that statement. The Titans are the worst team in the NFL. And to all the Titans fans out there, I feel bad for y'all. I hate it for y'all. But please, don't give up on Cam Ward. Don't give up on Cam Ward just yet. Just put a team around that man, and let's see what that man can do. You know what I'm saying? They gave up on Will Levis. And they never gave Will Levis. I hate to say they didn't give him a fair chance, but Will Levis never had a great team around him. And hopefully, I want to see Cam Ward has some success in Tennessee. So hopefully they won't give up on him. But the Titans are pretty bad, people. They are pretty bad. Steelers and Vikings. That game is in Ireland. And the Steelers won that game 24-21. Aaron Rodgers is still doing his thing. DK Metcalf had a long touchdown. He caught it about 10, 15 yards from the line of scrimmage and housed it for an 80-yard touchdown against the Minnesota Vikings. And that's saying something against that defense. Now, Minnesota's struggling on offense because, well, J.J. McCarthy's out, and they've been playing Carson Wentz. And to be honest, J.J. Carson, and tomato. That's how they've been this year. But that Vikings defense is still pretty good. 24-21, Pittsburgh Steelers win. Pittsburgh is now 3-1 and sitting atop the AFC North, as Baltimore sucks, Cincinnati sucks, and who's the other team? Oh, yeah, the Browns. They suck too. But anyway, the AFC North, in my opinion, is probably going to be up for grabs because, I don't know, man. I hate to pick on the Steelers. But they are fortunate from their schedule, and they have yet to play what I call a great team. So when they play a great team, we'll see what they got. We'll see if old man Rodgers is still doing his thing when they play a great team. For now, though, I'm struggling to believe in the Steelers, but I could be wrong and I could eat my words. And if that happens, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come on here and I'm going to eat my words. So we'll see what happens with Pittsburgh on down the line. Their next game coming up looks like they're on a bye. So no Pittsburgh game this weekend. And the Vikings, after this loss, they get to play the Browns in London. Ah, yes. And the Vikings actually stayed over in Europe and traveled to London. This past game is in Ireland. Traveled to London, and they will face the Browns there. And that's probably going to be a pretty good game. Two pretty good defenses going at each other. Low scoring. I'd be surprised if the game total is over 42 points on this one, because I can see this one being something like 16-13 or something like that. But anyways, Vikings, Browns in London next Sunday. We'll see what happens. Yeah, next game I want to talk about Chargers and Giants. And truthfully, I ain't gonna lie, folks. Jackson Dart era has began, and the Giants fans are elated. This man said he was gonna come out and get a win for the Giants. That man went out and got a win for the Giants. I ain't gonna lie. I laughed when he said it because I was like, man, y'all are not gonna beat the Chargers. But you know what? They beat the Chargers. And Jackson Dart looked like a veteran out there as they beat the Chargers 21-18. And when I say the Chargers did everything they could to try to win this game, they did everything they could. They just couldn't do enough. Again, the big news out of this game: Jackson Dart wins his NFL debut, and also Malik Neighbors tears his ACL. Tore his ACL early in the game, and the Giants still found a way to win this game without Malik Neighbors on the field. And I think that speaks a lot to how good Jackson Dart is and how good he can be, because the Chargers defense is a stout defense. Jim Harbaugh, I'm not going to act like he ain't an elite coach. You know what I'm saying? He's a really good coach. And I'm very surprised. I was very surprised that the Chargers still weren't able to win this game. So keep an eye on Jackson Dart and the New York Giants, as it looks like new things are going to take place for them. Next up for the Giants, as they got their first win on the season, they will play the Saints in New Orleans, and the Los Angeles Chargers, they will be facing the Commanders at home in Los Angeles. Whether or not Jaden Daniels plays remains to be seen. We shall see. But either way it goes, next up, Commanders at Chargers this upcoming Sunday, as the Chargers look to bounce back from this loss that Jackson Dart handed to them last Sunday. Now, let's see where we at now. Cardinals, Falcons, Bills, Saints, Bucks, Lions, and Brown. The Detroit Lions have arrived, ladies and gentlemen. They took it on the chin week 1 against the Packers, and they had everybody thinking again that they weren't going to be able to win without Ben Johnson. But since that game, these boys have rattled off some big-time victories, including a victory over Baltimore and now victory over the Cleveland Browns. And I'm not going to act like the Cleveland Browns ain't a good team or are a good team. They're really not a great team. Dylan Gabriel's in line to start the next game for the Browns, but the Browns do have a good defense. And the Browns defense that held the Packers to 10 points was unable to hold the Detroit Lions to less than 30 points, as the Lions put up 34 points on that vaunted Cleveland Browns defense. And there's really not a whole lot to say about this game other than the Lions came down and handled business and did what they're supposed to do. The Lions have moved to 3-1 on the year. The Browns are 1-3. I mentioned the Browns will be playing the Vikings in London. The Detroit Lions, they will be facing the Cincinnati Bengals, and we will have more on the Lions in Jason's Jewel of the Week. Make sure you plug in. Tap in Jason's Jewel of the Week. I got something in line for you involving the Detroit Lions. But anyway, Detroit Lions win 34-10 over the Cleveland Browns, and they will face the Bengals next week. Excuse me. Next game up, Patriots at the Panthers. And the Patriots did what the Atlanta Falcons couldn't do, and that's beat the dog shit out of the Carolina Panthers. The Patriots won 42-13 over the Carolina Panthers. Drake May had a great game. The Patriots defense showed up as they should have. And as I go through it, Trayvon Henderson had a good game. Antonio Gibson scored a touchdown. Hunter Henry, he got in the end zone once again. And Mac Hollins, the barefooted Mac Hollins. Well, I say he's barefooted. He shows up to games barefooted. That's why I call him barefooted Mac Hollins. Dude's he's a little different. But anyway, Mac Hollins with a touchdown. The Patriots laid the smack down on the Carolina Panthers, as they should. The Patriots are now 2-2 on the year. The Carolina Panthers are now 1-3. The Patriots will play, who they got coming up? Ooh, Patriots at the Bills. This game will be in Buffalo. Very interesting. Very interesting. I'm pretty sure the Bills will win this game, but I think this is going to be a much better game than people will give it credit for. So that's a game I'm going to have my eye on. Ooh, and it's Sunday Night Football. So I'll definitely have my eye on this game as we get the Bills and Patriots, prime time, Drake May versus Josh Allen. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. That could be a pretty decent game, folks. The Carolina Panthers, they moved to 1-3 on the year, and they will face the Miami Dolphins at home, who will be without the services of Tyreek Hill, as we all saw last night what happened to Tyreek. Get well soon. I talked on the 49ers Jaguars. I spoke on the Rams Colts, Chiefs Ravens. The Bears defeated the Ravens 25-24 on the last second field goal. Hey, shout out to my boy Bug Money. He said the Raiders would give this game away at the end. He's been a Raiders fan as long as I've known him. So he's like, this is what the Raiders do, and this is what's going to happen. And to his credit, he was absolutely right. Well, the Raiders were winning this game, gave it away at the very end, and well, the Bears were able to do what they did. Caleb Williams started to play some pretty good football, folks. Pay attention. Caleb Williams is playing some better football. The Bears moved to 2-2 on the year. Next up for the Bears will be their bye week. And then after that, they will face the Commanders. But for now, the Bears have a bye week coming up. So we will not see the Bears this coming Sunday. The Las Vegas Raiders, they will face the Colts, and they will take an L. Because that game is in Indianapolis, and Indiana Jones is not going to lose to the Las Vegas Raiders in Indiana. I'll tell you that right now. So anyway, Geno Smith needs to be better. Packers and Cowboys. This game ended in a 40-40 tie. Again, a 40-40 tie. Now, this game had a lot of fireworks. I ain't gonna lie, I fell asleep on the game. Man, I got a little tired of my old man. I just couldn't take it no more. You know, after watching Red Zone all day long, shout out to my boy Spencer Warner. But after watching Red Zone all day long, I was just a little wore out, man. I couldn't take it no more. And I fell asleep. And I'm glad I fell asleep because I'd have been pissed off if I stayed up to watch two NFL teams play to a tie. Now, I know they have tiebreaker rules in the playoffs. Why would you not put them in the regular season? No NFL game should ever end in a tie. No sporting event should ever end in a tie. I don't give a shit if it's soccer. There should never be a tie in sports. There's a scoreboard for a reason, and the scoreboard should never be equal at the end of the game. One team should have the lead and win that ball game, period. That's what we're watching for. See somebody win. We don't want to see a tie. I don't care how good Dak Prescott played. I don't care how good Jordan Love played. I don't care if Romeo Doubs has got the biggest helmet we've ever seen in the history of the NFL. I don't want to see a tie. And so for that, glad I fell asleep. Glad I didn't watch it. Glad I missed it. 40-40 tie. Shameful. Shameful. And again, how y'all play a full period? You know what? Green Bay moves to 2-1-1 on the year, and Dallas moves to 1-2-1 on the year. And frankly, I hope both of y'all lose your division by one game at the end of the regular season. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping y'all lose the regular season division title by one game. And I hope y'all got to have a stupid tiebreaker to make the playoffs. Dummies. How you end in the tie? And that's not the team's fault, but I'm pissed off at the teams for not being able to get a measly little 3 points in overtime for somebody to win a damn game. That's a damn shame. Should be ashamed of yourselves. Next up for Green Bay is a bye. Good. Y'all need to learn how to win games and not tie games. So bye for Green Bay. And the Dallas Cowboys next up for them will be the New York Jets. That's right. As my two fantasy football quarterbacks will face off against each other. And I ain't going to lie, I'm probably going to play Justin Fields again because that Dallas Cowboys defense is ass. It's ass. That defense is ass. So I'm probably going to play Justin Fields. So enough of my fantasy football team again. Last game we're going to talk about before we get out of here, last two games, Jets and Dolphins. Dolphins win 27-21. Story of this game, though, was Tyreek Hill snapping his leg, dislocating his knee, tore pretty much all the ligaments in his knee. They're saying it could be a 1, possibly 2-year, maybe even career-ending injury for Tyreek Hill. So if it's the last we've seen of Tyreek Hill, hey, salute. Been a great career, Tyreek. You've been that man. Been fun to watch. We ain't seen dudes as fast as you out on the field. Hopefully you have a speedy recovery. Maybe we'll see you again. Maybe we won't. But if not, again, salute on a great career. Dolphins win that game 27-21. Tua turned the ball over, is playing a little bit better. I don't think he had any turnovers yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. But he is playing a little bit better, as he should against the Jets. The Jets are now 0-4 on the year. And again, next up, they got the Dallas Cowboys at home. Could be a fun game since Dallas don't have no defense and the Jets have shown that they ain't got it all in sync just yet. But I hope they get it in sync. I want to see Aaron Glenn do good. I want to see Justin Fields do good. I want to see him and Garrett Wilson do what they did at Ohio State. So here's to well wishes for the Jets, and hopefully y'all can get things turned around. as the month of September has been as bad for y'all as it was for Baltimore. And the Dolphins, I mentioned, will travel to Carolina to face the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young, which should be a game where the Dolphins can get it turned around. But when they lead the state of Florida, they're really not that good. So we'll see what happens. Last game to discuss, the Broncos at the Bengals. And ladies and gentlemen, what we are witnessing from the Bengals is a downfall of not having Joe Burrow. And again, this is another front office thing. The Bengals lost 28-3. Broncos, I think they left some points on the table. I didn't think they played all that great. It's another game I fell asleep on. I thought the Broncos could have played better, but they won 28-3. They put the Bengals away, which is what they should have done. And as long as the Bengals got trotting Jake Browning out there, Jamar Chase is going to be pissed off every Sunday. He's going to be yelling at Zach Taylor. And truthfully, it's just not looking good for the Bengals, ladies and gentlemen. It's not looking good for them at all. But the Bengals moved to 2-2 on the year. They will be playing the Detroit Lions next week, and they will host the Detroit Lions next week. The Denver Broncos, they will be facing the Eagles in a game that I expect the Eagles to win, but it should be a good game. So be sure to tune into that one if you can. The Eagles and Broncos next up for the Broncos. Now, I believe that is all the NFL information that I got for you all this week. Hope you all enjoyed this nice little episode. Hope you enjoyed my little rants, my Lamar Jackson rant. You know, it's just going to be what it's going to be. I got nothing but love for Lamar. He ain't no quitter. But again, if you won't believe that man quit, that's on you. I'm not here to argue with you or debate with you. If you want to think he quit, fine. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be what you think. And if that's what you think, that's what you think. There ain't nothing I can do about that. But thank you all for tuning in to Jason's Jewels this week. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Jason's Jewels channel on YouTube. Again, like, share, subscribe. Jason's Jewels channel on YouTube. You can also find episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for those who choose to listen there. New episodes will be released on Wednesdays. Also, be sure to tune into the Clearly Confused podcast featuring Deuce Speaks and myself, Jason Alexander. New episodes released on Mondays. Now, we've had a little break here. My boy Deuce has been traveling a little bit, and we've had a couple of things we've had to take care of. So if we're not back next week, we will be back the week after that. But other than that, thank you for tuning in to Jason's Jewels this week. Be on the lookout for Jason's Jewel of the week as well, which will also be released on Wednesdays alongside of full episodes of Jason's Jewels. This has been Jason's Jewels, ladies and gentlemen, the best sports show you've never heard of. I'm your host, Jason Alexander. I will see y'all next week. Be easy. Peace.